When the putty hardened and the holes for the pins were securely created, shaped, whatever you want to call it, it was time to bring out the forbidden yellow mustard to do the rest of the filling, because she has a lot of gaps in between all the parts, not only because of the holes that I made earlier, for the legs especially. I need to be very careful to not over putty the area on her butt, because it has a lot of texture that I need to preserve. Too much putty and that will be filled out and I am screwed. Since she has connections where there's a lot of texture that I need to keep, I came up with the idea to make a stencil out of the same texture with the same silicone mold putty I used earlier. That way, I can use it to shape the putty when removing the seam on the legs. I made 2 samples from different sides of her torso to use way down the road. And this is what I mean by studying your kit. The left leg gave me so many issues, between having difficulties installing the pins to align and how heavy these parts are, and the fact that the sculpt isn't perfect. There were some uneven connections between the butt and the leg. It didn't help that there was a huge gap in between the textured part too. Something that needs to be corrected with putty to fix it. I'm just going to sand down the uneven connections and then cast some magic to fix this mess. Apply the putty and a ton of Vaseline to the leg. Attach them to move around the putty and remove any excess without smearing it to the sides to avoid that texture detail, because the idea here is to preserve as much of it. You don't want to notice this correction at all either, so you have approximately 45 minutes of working time with our forbidden yellow mustard. It's a paste consistency for the first 20 minutes after you mix it, but then it begins to harden, and it's when it has a little bit more consistency and it no longer sticks to your finger when you touch it that you can actually still mold it to shape just a little bit. This is the moment you have to go back immediately and use that stencil you made earlier to recreate that texture before it's too late. Pushing it on to smush that still malleable putty and cover the gap while keeping that detail. Then just cut off the excess that spread to her leg, and we now have a seamless gap filling with the original detail making completely inconspicuous.